Hi, my name is Tammy, and in today's video, I am going to talk to you about my interpretation of what a patchwork quilt top is. So, the technical definition of a patchwork quilt top is a quilt top that's made up of different textiles that include different textures, different types of fabrics, different colors, different patterns, and you take that assortment or arrangement of fabrics, you piece them together or sew them together to make a quilt top. In my understanding, historically, patchwork quilt tops were put together from quilters who were just using what they had on hand. So sometimes those tops were made from clothing, made from linen, bed linens, made from sacks, whatever textiles those quilters got their hands on, they would cut them up or rip them up and piece them back together to make a quilt top. So for me today, I am not using random textiles, although that is my style of quilting. I really like to upcycle fabrics such as bed linens and denim and men's dress shirts, ties. I get my hands on any type of textile and put it together into a quilt top. But for today's video, I am going to show you how I use several pre-starched charm packs. So I think maybe I have 2 or 3 different collections of charm packs. And charm packs are pre-cut pieces of 5-inch fabrics. So I know I have a little bit of Lori Holt in here, and I'm not sure what else I have. But for me, this is going to be my patchwork quilt top because I have different designers that are featured in these charm packs. The other thing I have is I have several pre-cut strips of grunge fabric. I went through this phase where I was like really into grunge, and so I bought several yards, several different colors. I pre-cut them because I use the AccuQuilt cutting system. So I pre-cut strips of the grunge and I starched them, and now I am not as in love with grunge. So I'm really trying to use up the fabric before I invest in different fabrics. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to make an arrangement or patchwork on my design wall here and show you what that looks like, and then maybe play around with it on the screen and you can let me know which configuration you like best. So stay tuned so that you can see what that looks like on my design wall. I've randomly selected 30 different 5-inch squares from pre-starched charm packs that I had in my stash. What I've done is I've arranged them on my design wall 5 by 6, which is 30 different pieces of fabric. So what I've learned to do is to throw them up on the wall, if you will, and then make very slight changes to the arrangements. And let me show you what I mean by that. I typically, when I'm making a project like this, want it to be as random as possible. So what happens sometimes is when you place your pieces originally on your design wall, like here you can notice that I have some red, a lot of red, well not a lot, but kind of red tones here. And then there's a lot of blue here and green here. So what I'm going to do is just move some of these pieces around, and then I'm going to let it go and go ahead and piece them together to complete this project. Now, if you're asking, hey Tammy, what is the project you're making? I don't know. I don't have a project just yet. I think what I want to do is just go ahead and piece these 30 together. And then once I'm done with that, I'll probably do another 30 because I have some leftover pieces. And then what that'll likely give me is like a rectangular shaped quilt top. And with that, I don't know, you'll just have to stay tuned to see what I come up with. But before you click away, let's do some arrangements here. So, like I said, there's these 3 green family here. That's a lot of green in one area. So I think what I'll do is maybe take like this one and move this one here and put that one there. And then I feel like maybe there's a lot of blue in this area, so I will take, let's take this one and see, like no matter where I put it, it's just going to be blue. So I think what I'll do is, oh my stars, pin the tail on the donkey. Okay, just right there. And then like this. You get the gist of it. So the patchwork element of a project like this is to just take your random scraps of fabric, your random textiles, your random non-coordinated pieces of fabric, arrange them into a configuration that you're happy with, piece it together, and that's it. Whereas traditional quilt tops, we have a design, right? There's a pattern, there's certain shapes that you piece together in a certain order. Patchwork projects, you just throw it up, literally throw it up on the wall, piece it together, and then you're done. So stay tuned. I am going to piece all of these little squares together and hang it up on this design wall so that you see what it looks like. I'll see you in the next segment. Okay, my quilty friend, I have pieced together the 5-inch squares that I've selected from my charm pack collections. My charm packs are pre-starched, and because of that, all of the squares that were 5 inches when I purchased them, some of them are a little wonky because of bias stretch and how I wring them out when I set them up on my drying rack to dry. So you'll notice here that my rows aren't completely straight, and I'm okay with that because I am not a perfectionist. I just want to get this done. So what makes this a patchwork quilt top is that I'm using several different charm packs with several different patterns. So you can see that I have some here that are fruit. I have some that are, let's see, more lines. And we have some that are flowers. So to me, that's how I interpret the patchwork concept. The other thing that makes this patchwork is that there's no specific pattern. All of the shapes are pretty much the same size. And when we make our traditional patterns in quilting or quilt tops, we follow a pattern. We may vary the colors and vary the fabrics, but the pattern is pretty consistent throughout the project. Here, I'm just working with 5-inch squares, different colors, different patterns, and different arrangements. So to me, that equals patchwork. Now stay tuned. I'm going to go ahead and piece all of these rows together and show you what the finished top looks like. Ta-da! My patchwork quilt top is all completed. I've pieced together the 5-inch squares and I've made this small quilt top. I like the way it turned out, but there is a flaw for those of you who are paying close attention to my piecing skills. On this end, there's approximately a 1-inch extra. And I think what happened is that, again, several things. I'm using charm packs from different designers and different companies, and I pre-starched these charm pack pieces. And so with pre-starching, there's some shrinkage that is involved, and there is also some bias stretch. So I think a combination of the starching, the bias stretch, and the different manufacturers all affected the shrink rate when these squares dried. Hence, I have this extra 1 inch on the side. So what I would do once I figure out what this partial quilt top will turn into, I have several other pieces of a charm pack that I'm probably going to piece together to maybe make a throw quilt or something like that. But once I get all of the charm squares pieced together, I'll just go ahead and square up this project prior to putting it on the long arm machine. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this kind of helped you with determining if a patchwork style quilt top is for you and how to actually make one. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.